the bar.
Ladies and gents, I am the fabulous Natalie. Joining me is the notorious Ricky Lee, and we're on this frequency brought to you by the Rosity Sound Podcast Network, where we talk about being a unique human in the universe and everything that comes with it. Let's get started. Enjoy.
Shouts out to that intro, though.
We're so cute.
High five.
Happy day.
It is Monday.
Yeah.
Feeling a little nauseous, but Starbucks is helping right now with
Yeah.
this medicine ball.
This is so good. This is one of my favorite drinks.
Agreed.
I can drink this all year long.
It like hugs your belly when you're not feeling
yeah.
well. It's just like a big,
Mm-hmm.
big warm hug.
Mm-hmm. And then just like the flavors that it has.
Yeah.
I just want them all in my mouth
It's in your mouth right now.
all the time.
Speaking of inappropriate things to say.
Yeah. Today we're talking about harassment sexuales, as Bartley would say. Sexual harassment, y'all.
Yes.
You know, a very serious topic, but one that we're just, we're going to ease into and kind of talk about our experiences and what has led us here.
And yes, and what rooted from this topic was last week's episode. If you didn't catch it, we talked about there was the segment in there about body shaming and about how we grew up and the complexes that we, had to hear all the time. And I talked about, wearing a sports bra while I was painting the wall in the back and making my mom a little uncomfortable, but my mom doing her best to embrace that. Right. But also about, raising teenage daughters and worried about how comfortable they felt in dressing, where they're showing some skin, and then me wanting to make sure that they understood the consequences of how
of
they were dressing.
your appearance is going to catch some attention, and
just
it
be ready
might
for
be
it.
unwanted.
And from that, we talked about after we recorded that episode, what were our experiences with sexual harassment. And then from there, we were talking about Moments in Love, which is the third season of Azis Ansari's Masters of None.
Right.
And I started to share with you his story of him being accused of sexual harassment or misconduct. And it opened a can of worms about, the fine line between accusing someone, the boundaries, what's right, what's wrong.
Nonverbal cues.
Yeah. So we started researching it and we started kind of investigating. But I think foremost, we definitely had that conversation amongst us where we said, well, what's been your experience with sexual harassment and being harassed?
Right.
From as far back as you can remember.
So I guess going back to this whole body shaming thing.
Yes.
I know that we've mentioned our appearance, what we wear, and one of the things that I always remember my mom telling me is like, Natalie, if I had a body like yours, I would wear these cute dresses and these cute little tops and this and that and the other. Basically letting me know, embrace your body and show some skin and don't be shy and this, that. And I have those outfits, right? But I'm always hesitant to wear them because I don't want to call attention to myself like that. And so the argument that my mom and I have, or the discussion, is that, Mom, as much as I would like to, I don't, because I frequently am by myself when I'm out and about. And I don't necessarily have someone that's going to defend me. And I'm not necessarily built to kick someone's ass like that. I just, if something were to happen.
Right.
So I refrain from wearing the cute top with, the girls are showing or.
So, but did you have like a personal experience where that did happen and you're like, I'm not going to do that again? Or is that just based on what your social awareness of what happens when you dress like that?
My social awareness, and also just experiencing wearing such outfits, like when I'm going out with my girlfriends and we're out at the bar or at a club. And this is in my younger 20s now because I'm an old lady these days and I don't want to be seen in places like that. But But my experience has been, if you're wearing the outfit, then you're gonna catch attention, and it might be unwanted, but be ready for it. And so that's been my experience. Is like, okay, you're gonna go out, you're gonna wear the short little dress and the cute skirt, whatever, and you're showing some leg, or and of course some guy's gonna whistle at you, or some guy's gonna ask you for your number or want to spark a conversation. I've had plenty of all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Hey girl, what's your name? Oh, well, how come? Do you want to come out and dance? Do you want to come out with me here? Do you want to? What do you do? And I'm like, no, I'm okay. I'm
Did
good,
it make a
thanks."
difference if they were attractive or not?
It did. Of course, it did.
Biased.
It really is, and that's why this conversation, I think, is just difficult, because there are biases,
Yeah.
and it does it only work when you're attracted, and does it become sexual harassment when you didn't want it necessarily, because nobody wants that, right?
Right. I would say
But
it
now I'm
becomes
looking-
harassment. Like if you have to tell somebody more than once, more than 2 times, 3 times, that's when like, bro, you're not getting the hint here. Like, and that goes with anybody.
Right.
Anything in any situation. Like if you verbally make it known, like I'm not good with this, or even just walking away and then it persists, like that's when it just becomes inappropriate, I think.
Yeah, I think I could agree with that. When it's no, it's no.
Right.
And if you don't know how to say no, then we got to work on it, because then that becomes these situations like Azis Ansari's, that the nonverbal cues, and
Right.
I tried to, but I never left. And so it's just like kind of like there's this big gray area.
I had a girlfriend of mine who, at work, she had one of her male coworkers. She needed to move her desk,
Yeah.
and he was like, I can help you move your desk, no problem.
Yeah.
And he's like, all I need to do is just, go underneath your desk, move some wires around. And while I'm there, if there's anything else you need me to do for you while I'm under the desk, wink, wink, I can take care of that for you.
No.
So she was like,
At work?
At work. Okay. Now,
That's disgusting.
she didn't say anything. She was just kind of like, it got really silently awkward, walked away.
Yeah.
She didn't say nothing, right? Months later, this same person, she's washing some windows, okay? And she was bending down. And you could see her underwear, like
Okay.
just a little bit. And he makes the comment, he goes, oh, do you need help adjusting your pants?
Stop.
Same dude, same chick, months later, okay? Now, she never reported anything, never said anything, because she's like, I need my job.
Oh my God.
And I don't want to compromise anything, and I don't want anyone to think anything, so I'm just not going to say anything.
Yeah.
So it stayed like that. Same with me. I had an employer years ago who I was working at a, cashier, and I was doing my little thing, and my boss came from behind, and he was like, oh, great job, and he like puts his hand on my back.
Yeah.
And then it just slowly
Makes its way
makes
down.
its way south. Pat, pat. And I'm like, oh,
Stop.
what's this?
Oh, hell
But
no.
again, I was a young,
Yeah.
fresh employee. And I'm like, this is weird and awkward. And at that point, I would just avoid him at all costs. I never said anything. And did I say at that moment, bro, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
stop. Like, this is weird. No.
What do you say?
Well, and again, like when you and I were researching Aziz Ansari's case, there was a video you sent me on some podcasters, I think, who also, this reporter mentioned that women don't necessarily know how to say no.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily know how to say, could you please stop? In grade school, you get taught about sex. You fill out forms, you talk about human anatomy and all that.
Yeah.
But when do you ever have a class that can give you cases, examples on
Right.
how to deal with a situation like that?
Right.
That's going to help young girls know, like, you're about to go into a world like this,
Right.
and here's how you can say specific things, take specific action to stand up for yourself and create those boundaries.
Right.
I think it's especially hard when that person is in a position of power.
Oh,
over you.
100%.
Like
Absolutely.
whether that's like an employer or a supervisor or anything like that. It makes
Family member.
family member that's like, you know,
You bring
an
in,
authority figure of some
yeah,
kind. Then
yeah,
it's like you don't want to compromise your job at that point.
uh-huh.
But at
Right.
the same time, you don't want to be harassed or molested at work.
You have to go to work. You got bills to pay. This you have to provide. An excellent point of reference for what you just said, Bartley, is the series on Apple TV. If you guys have it, The Morning Show. The Morning Show is based off of what I believe might be a Fox News reporter who was sexually harassing all of the ladies at the workplace. And it became this big thing. Of course, I mean, I'm sure all of you guys remember that it was broadcasted all over the news, and every person possible was talking about it. Um, but I highly recommend that show, The Morning Show with
Yeah, the
Jennifer
morning show.
Aniston and
Oh, you just
Steve
said
Carell.
his name, Steve Carell.
Yeah, yeah, such a good show. That's a perfect example of sexual harassment in the workplace and how that affects us. Mental health, that's a big thing. I feel that, women that have had this happen to them carry that with them and bury it inside their souls, and it never gets spoken about, and it must weigh so heavy on them.
So yes, and I was thinking about something because that same friend of mine who got harassed twice by the same dude,
Mm,
she went on to explain to me that he harassed a lot of the women there at work,
mm-mm,
right? But here's the thing.
mm-hmm.
I honestly, okay, so he harassed a lot of other women there at work.
Yeah.
And he was also known for like sharing explicit videos with like men there. Like, oh my God, look at this video, stuff like that.
With other men around.
Yeah, with other men around and two men. Okay. So when the Me Too movement came around and all of these people were being called out, my friend said that he called everybody at work, all the ladies at work, and apologized
Oh,
and was like, I am so sorry if I ever said anything inappropriate, if I offended you. Like, he was so remorseful.
wow.
So,
Now, was he remorseful or was he knew he was about to be called out and lose his job? Because those are two completely different things. Like,
okay, so watch
saying
this.
sorry and being remorseful are two completely separate things.
He didn't work for that employer anymore. He did not work there anymore. He like relocated to another country.
Oh,
And he literally, I ended up finding out, he literally called like anything that came to his mind.
yeah.
He tried to locate every female to apologize. So
No
so it
kidding.
wasn't that he was afraid of losing that job in particular, because he wasn't there anymore. But here's another thing. She brought up an interesting point because you mentioned wellness and the scarring that it does for females, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't necessarily, he didn't have those social cues. He could, I don't think that from everything she shared with me that he knew how to pick up on the fact that she wasn't feeling up on what he was saying. Do
Yeah.
you understand what I mean? And I think oftentimes there are many people, men in this particular case, who may not have that
Yeah.
radar that goes off that says, she's not really liking what you're saying right now.
Yeah. She's uncomfortable.
She's uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he did this with all women, he wasn't discriminating against any woman. He was like,
To all of them, and then with men
even to men
too.
as well. So
Right.
like some people have, specific manners, knowing, and some just don't. And that's
Yeah.
where, I don't know. I was just thinking critically about that there's all kinds of loopholes. There's all kinds of like
There are
possibilities with this. But I did admire the fact that he very much, you know, apologized to everybody. Like, I thought that was an honorable thing.
Yeah.
I did appreciate that. But going back to what happened with Aziz Ansari, because I want to recap the situation that happened with him.
Yeah.
Because when that situation with him happened,
Mm-hmm.
people said that it set the Me Too movement back because of the specific accusation that it was. So in a nutshell, and then help me out if I'm saying right,
Yeah.
he meets this girl at a show
Yeah.
They go out on a date. They text each other back and forth. They go out on a date. They have some wine. They go back to his place.
Yeah.
She willingly takes the invitation to go up to his apartment.
Right.
They have sexual banter back and forth.
Right.
He does do sexual advances to her. She
girl.
accepts. She reciprocates.
Right.
Now, although she's reciprocating, she's not comfortable with it. But she's not saying it. She's not
Right.
verbally telling him
No.
that she's uncomfortable with it or saying no.
Right.
She does mention in the article that she would fidget a lot and kind of pull away, but she was still responsive to every sexual move that he was making. And the one time that she did express something, she said something like, when he was like, I think he said something like, I'm going to go and get a condom or something. She said, no, I don't want it to feel forced, or made a comment like that.
Yeah.
But still proceeded with his advances. And like I said, it went back and forth.
Yeah, I think there was, based on the article that we were reading, it was 3 separate occasions in that same night where he's approaching her, he's feeling her up, and he's performing these sexual acts on her. And on 3 different occasions, she had the opportunity to say, no, I've had enough. No, I'm leaving. No, I don't like this, but doesn't.
She doesn't. And the article is available on babe.net. And if you just Google Azis Ansari, babe.net, it was there. Because I'm a huge fan of Azis Ansari. And I was really devastated when I saw this come. I was like, what the hell? No, I want another season of Masters of None.
Yeah.
Which Netflix, of course, pulled.
Yeah.
So he has no clue at that moment that she's really uncomfortable because they're going back and forth. And then finally, when she does say, like, I'm ready to go home, he calls an Uber for her. And then the following morning, she does express to him that she was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
To which he immediately says, like, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't know. I'm sorry you felt that way. That's terrible, et cetera, et cetera. So when I read that article and the way that it was written and the way that it was done, I immediately did think about, like, the men in my family.
Yeah.
And I thought I could totally see that situation, like, happening where you're misreading the cues. You're thinking everything's cool and dandy because physically she's, going along with everything.
Right.
You've both had something to drink. You're not picking up on the fact that this person does not want to be with you.
Right.
And I remember calling my dad and my brother going like, have y'all ever been, Jesus, have you guys been in a situation like this?
Yeah.
And how many women could have potentially really not want to be with you, but were there because they didn't know how to get the fuck out of there?
Right.
So in this particular case, just in this particular case, I understand both sides. I understand her not being able to verbalize that she's not comfortable, but I also understand why he didn't stop because, if you don't, he's not a mind reader.
Right.
You're not a mind reader. It's so, even just in normal conduct, without any kind of sexual behavior, you cannot know what the other person is
thinking.
I
think about our episode when we talked with Bartley a little bit in the what is it? Men can't live with them, can't live without them. And we were talking about the first of all the emotional sectors, right? Women have 12, men have 1, which we went on to say, like, look, when it comes to men, and Bartley, correct me if I'm wrong, men are gonna, like, it's either yes or no, and it's red or white or blue. It's not like, what are you thinking? Because women, we think 1,000 different things. Men are thinking just
especially if she's participating in the sexual physical acts with him,
leading
up to that point. He's
on go.
His head and his other head are like, this is happening. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like this is.
We're waving the flags.
No,
go.
The green flag is out. We're ready to go.
Right.
Right.
Thank you.
So unless she's actually like, sorry, men are kind of stupid. You got to lay it out for us.
Right.
Unless you're laying it out, say, hey, I'm not comfortable. I don't want to do this with you anymore. I don't feel comfortable doing this. But you're not saying that. But your actions are speaking louder than your words ever could.
Exactly.
Because for us, it's like, okay, she's doing this, I'm doing this, and she's enjoying it.
Right.
So what's wrong?
Exactly. Which kind of goes. I understand now this whole kind of the Me Too movement refraining,
Right.
because now this chick is
Well,
performing the acts as well, and
And
there's
this is completely different than the Harvey Weinstein
correct.
Oh,
incidents or
right.
anything like that.
100%.
right,
Like
right.
this is those dudes are disgusting and
Yes.
couldn't take the verbal cues as well as the
Correct.
nonverbal cues.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And destroyed someone's career.
Right.
Now, and again, and I thought about the men in my family and I thought about my son, you know, because I immediately, and in general, like growing up, like you could tell my son no 1,000 times and he's going to keep poking and playing because naturally he's like that. And I would always tell him, like, I swear to baby Jesus, as soon as a female, as soon as you feel any kind of like, stop.
You better. Yeah. Right.
Just stop
Yeah.
because you don't know what someone is gonna say or think or destroy. And he
Right.
did. He lost, you know, a lot of affiliations, a lot of, you know, opportunities and what he had going on.
Azis Ansari, right?
Correct. So now what happens is a year goes by. He stays completely out of the public. He like dives into himself. A year later, he releases his special called on Netflix, Aziz Ansari, right now in 2019.
Yes.
He opens that episode by addressing what happened
Yeah. Yeah.
because the people that actually showed up, to watch the special, and then Netflix, who actually released and produced it, he wanted to address it to give them thanks, for showing up,
Right. The
for
support.
for supporting
Yeah.
him, right? So
I think he had a standing ovation.
his intro,
Or just.
in just hearing his voice, his tone, and what he says, first of all, it felt like he was on the verge of tears, like
Yeah.
the entire time. But I felt it.
Yeah.
Like I genuinely felt
Yeah.
how terrible he felt about what happened, about how it affected everybody, her, him, his family, his friends, like
Yeah.
everybody. You could feel it, right? And he says something really important in there. He says that after all of this happened, that even his friends were like, dude,
Yeah.
I had to think about the situations I
yeah.
had been in that sounded very familiar to what you had gone through. And how many did I hurt women like that? So he expresses how, like, at least that brought something to awareness for men to be like, damn, like, even the nonverbal thing, like, you got to be aware of that, right?
Right.
I saw an interview, and I think it was Fox. I don't remember who it was, but I saw these two ladies who criticized him
Oh,
opening up like that and saying, like, oh, why did he do that? It didn't sound genuine. Like,
Yeah.
he just blasted him for doing that. And I thought, well, actually, one of the reporters was saying that it did seem very genuine
Yeah.
and that she did appreciate that he addressed it, even though it was a year later, but that you could literally feel the weight that it had carried, that he carried because of this. And then he did a great show. But,
Yeah. The other lady criticized too, the other reporter, of why he would speak up about it in this manner,
Correct.
meaning like the comedy special.
Correct.
And I kind of thought, well, what a perfect opportunity. This
Correct.
is his platform.
Yeah.
These are the people that listen. This is where
There's
he
no-
would be seen.
There's no better time for you to
Right.
address that. It'd be no different like if any other comedian or public person had
Yeah.
a opportunity to address accusations against him. That's the perfect time to do it. You have the platform. People are tuning in because they
Yeah.
want to hear your reaction to it.
Exactly.
That's the perfect time.
Exactly.
not just that, but also I think, like, comedians, like, I love comedy. Comedy is one of the biggest reliefs, and it's so important to
And
us, right?
comedians always have like the biggest stories,
They have the
biggest pain.
yes, because
Biggest
all I think about, I always think of, like, rest in peace, Robin Williams. Like, I can imagine the pain that he carried, and his sole purpose in life was to make, like, other people laugh.
Yeah.
And it cost him his pain, and it cost him his life, and it cost him, like, so
Like
for
Robin
me, when I heard Aziz talk about this, I was like, damn, like, you know, you're not holding it in. Like, you're trying to let it out and not
Yeah.
repress it like so many other comedians who may have done that
Right.
for the sake of making other people laugh,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And that was honorable. And I honored that about him because, again, and we always talk about, you want to make the generations better, you want to make your people better, you want to make your youth better, then this is how you do it. You talk about it.
Yeah.
And you bring it up. And you say, this is what I went through. This is what I did. Like, learn from it and move on.
Right.
Because this whole, like, cancel culture thing just really fucking blows my mind sometimes.
Yeah. And I think that, just to add to that, we have to hold boys accountable. I feel like boys get away with a lot of shit. Do you think that?
Since the beginning of time. Like,
and us ladies have just had to, like, it's okay. He didn't mean it. He was just this. He had a bad day.
Yeah.
And then I even think about when you get raped by your husband.
Oh.
Well, is it consensual? Well, you're married, but it's like, well,
I think about Tina Turner. If you've ever gotten a chance to watch, I think it's called What's Love Got to Do with It? Have you ever? Oh my God! You need to watch that because her story. Talk about consensual or not being consensual, and being in an abusive relationship, and again, going back to the power of a man, the influence of a man, like, and the fear behind it, and the association that can't say anything or do anything, even though you're being bludgeoned to,
could
out of your dignity,
be getting beat.
Yeah, it's an incredible. Her story is incredible.
I'm sure we could go on and on into how traumatizing this situation can get to.
Right, but
battered women.
If you have, I have daughters, and I am immediately I'm trying to explain to them, like, again, this is the world that you're about to go into, and it's not a pleasant one, and here's what you're going to be up against. So have the grit to deal with that, and don't come crying that this and this and this happened, because that's you're going up against, again, since the beginning of time, where men are this way, men behave like this. This isn't anything that's going to change overnight.
This is only 5 years in, where it's in the quote-unquote public eye. Correct. And we're barely wanting to do something. Right. Well, not that we've barely been wanting to do something, but as a mass, we're identifying, oh shit, we have a problem here.
Right. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, I prepare my girls so that they're aware of what they're going into, right? Just the same way that I prepare my son so that he's aware of these stories. And that's why it's also important too. Like, yeah, we heard the whole Me Too movement. We heard these very high-level stories, right?
Yeah.
But it's important that we talk about the day-to-day experiences that we have. Because your day-to-day people don't say shit.
Right.
Your day-to-day people are keeping quiet, taking it in.
Yeah.
Because you don't have that pull. You don't have that. And again, you don't want to lose your job. You don't want to lose relationships with people.
Right.
You want to just, as women have been conditioned for thousands of billions of years, just keep quiet and keep going.
Yeah.
Suck it up and go.
Him.
Yeah,
that sucks.
So it's made up of male and female conditioning that's been a tale as old as time.
Yeah.
Well, nowadays, employers protect people who report sexual harassment. So the message needs to be like, okay, this is no longer okay, and you can speak up about it, and you can keep your job because you are protected.
Yeah.
So moving forward, to anybody listening to this, if you're going through that experience, go to someone who's not involved. Like, if it's with your employer, go to somebody else who's not involved. Maybe contact an attorney.
Yeah.
You are protected in your job if you report sexual harassment.
Yeah. Yeah, that you bring up such a good point. A lot of us don't want to do that because we don't have the money, we don't have the resources, we don't know who to go to. But hey, call your HR person. If it's not your manager, tell your manager to help you out. Tell you somebody has to know that can help you, because it's very serious. And if we don't, then we're only gonna prolong us healing and helping and making the world a better place, I think.
And it goes even into our families. Right, it goes into the network of molestation that happens in the families. I'm trying to remember the post that I saw where it talked about like something about like keeping secrets, and we have a friend of our families also who we had to see suffer like a stepfather and him, and how he's manhandled like just kids and friends and families, and instead of anyone saying anything, everyone just keeps quiet because that's the patriarch of the family. And how are you gonna dismantle a family? And I'm like, how are you gonna contribute to the continued
Yeah.
unknown little girls or what else he
Probably
could be
just
doing, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But again, that goes back also to culture
Mhm.
and
Family secrets.
family secrets and keeping all of that hush
Hush
hush.
hush. Fuck, I don't even know how to follow up with that because I can't imagine that.
I remember going to therapy with the father of my children a long time ago. And I remember her expressing to both of us. She said, as parents, you have to remember that this can happen
Right.
anywhere, under your nose.
Yeah.
Like, whatever you think the most obvious thing is, it doesn't even have to be that unobvious or noticeable. It could be the simplest thing,
Mhm.
which is why you always have to keep an honest conversation as much as you can with your kids.
Mhm.
Which again goes back, and I, it was difficult for me to tell Alina, beautiful young lady, beautiful body, beautiful everything.
Yeah.
Like, you want to go out like that?
Right.
I don't want to hear you crying when you come back. Then, so and so said this or so and so. Own what you wear.
Mhm.
And know that that's exactly what you're going to get when you go out there. And there is nothing that you can do to control the
Right.
attention that you're going to get when you
Yeah.
walk out the door dressed like that.
Yeah.
It's not to discourage the way that she looks. It's not to discourage her to feel any kind of confident way about her body. But the reality remains is that
Men
you
are pigs. That's just it. It's just men are kind of gross. Sorry, no offense, but it is what it is. You know.
None taken. I mean, so I had back in college, we had a exercise where we went to the mall. We went to Victoria Gardens Mall, and I was in a criminology class, and our assignment was to quote unquote commit crimes. Not physically actually commit the crimes,
Yeah.
but put ourselves in a criminal mindset and ask ourselves, why are we choosing that person for the crime?
Oh, I like
So,
that.
by thinking like a criminal, you are protecting yourself from those crimes. So what my advice to your daughter would be, put yourself in somebody else's shoes. What message are you sending to that person? Whether you're intending to send that message or not, how can you protect yourself in that situation?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I came up with some heinous stuff, and I'm not that kind of person.
Right.
But like, I'll give a short example. I followed a family into the parking structure. They weren't paying attention to their surroundings. I could have knocked out the father and had control of the family at that point. I didn't. Obviously, that's not my. That's,
Right.
Jesus,
but
Bartley.
you're thinking about the
that's what I had.
scenario.
That's what I had to write
Right.
in the paper. Right.
Right.
Okay.
So, how do you protect yourself against that? Well, you got to be aware of your surroundings at all times.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, moving this into like the sexual harassment or sexual, situation.
Yeah.
How do you protect yourself if you do want to wear something like that? How do you protect yourself? Well, you need to have your head on a swivel at all times. You need to know who's
look left,
watching,
look right, look behind you.
who's watching, who's paying extra attention to you, because that's the person you need to watch out for.
Exactly. I agree.
This is why I don't dress like that. I am far too lazy to be trying to pay that close attention of like my surroundings. I am far too lazy to be doing any of that shit at all. Give me some sweats and a sweatshirt and call it a day.
Yeah.
And no, I am not deviant. I am just I went through a class, and that was the assignment.
I had a similar assignment, Bartley, when I was in college. I had to. So there had been reports of sexual activity in college libraries, or just I think it was just college campuses, and I believe that there was a heightened reports of people selling themselves or advertising for sex on Craigslist at that time.
Selling themselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is before the Tinder and all of those apps. So you can go on Craigslist and you have yourself a date there. And this was popular in college campuses. So our assignment was to go to, I believe it was 4 or 5 college libraries, and you research the library to see if there would be a chance that you can have sexual encounters at the library.
Like physically?
Yes.
Like if you could have sex at the library?
Yes.
Like where you would do it?
Where would you do it? Yeah.
Okay.
So I found that at the Claremont colleges, that
Wait, hold on.
library was like the most, because there was no security.
So you researched different libraries?
Right. I researched the Claremont colleges, Cal Poly Pomona,
This is
Cal State San Bernardino.
This is why I like college.
And then I can't remember the other ones, but it was the Claremont colleges that stuck out to me the most because there was no security. There was a lot of places where you could hide, and there was a particular place in the library where you could go in, and I don't know, there was just a lot of hidden spaces.
Did this ever turn into a fantasy for you where you're like,
no,
I would have sex right there.
Right there on this library bookshelf. No,
it would for me. I love books.
Well, Claremont colleges, just so you know.
So my quote unquote research showed.
Yeah, so I would definitely, my advice would be, and I guess this is what I do, I carry pepper spray and a small knife in my purse. I don't know if this would actually help me in a real scenario where like now I'm digging for my phone, through all my shit in my purse, and now I have a knife, but carry your knife. And Mike always asks me, why do you have a knife in your purse? I'm like, I don't know who's going to be by me. I don't know who I need to pull this out on.
Have you ever had to pull it out?
No, I haven't, thank goodness.
But yeah.
You never know.
My advice also would be keep your head on a swivel, because when you're not paying attention to your surroundings, you're opening yourself up for victimization.
I guess, like, I don't think like that. That's not how I operate. Like, I have friends who do operate like that, who are like, hey, I'm
always looking around.
I don't want to live like that. I don't. And I realize I probably should.
Yeah, because that's where we live in right now.
I'm not saying have it consume you, but you need to think about it, because that's always a possibility.
Right.
Especially like if you're in a parking garage or at the college library.
Okay, see,
or in a dark place, like if you're walking to your car late at night, have your head on a swivel.
Or when you're walking your dog, I even like in the mornings, I'm scared. I don't care what time of day it is. I'm like, what the fuck?
I like Volkswagens because our key is a little switchblade. Like, you click it. So I always could just easily stab somebody with the key in the eye.
Ooh, yeah.
So I like my key.
Shove it up their nose.
The nose. But see, again, I don't like...
Or in their ear.
Right.
Ooh, ow. That's painful. But hey,
I have an ear fetish, so...
You do?
I don't think I would touch the ears, even if they were. I think I would probably talk my assailant to death and have like a deep conversation. Like, do you really want to do this with me right now?
Yeah.
Tell me why.
Why? What happened?
Tell me why. Because let me explain. You know, that's probably my biggest defense.
Yeah. No, I feel that. But hey, I'm glad you're keeping this light. Or at least over here holding his laughing. Like, yeah, he probably thinks this would work.
Let me finish laughing.
We'd have a good combo.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't disagree. Like,
I'm sorry. I'll just leave you alone. You're making me.
But I actually...
Just get out. Just go. All right, you're free.
Get out of the car.
Yeah.
You can leave.
But I've actually thought about that. So growing up, my Aunt Rosie, and now I always end up having to talk about my Aunt Rosie, like she used to like gory stories or like true crime or like people who would murder, like just creepy shit like that. And I could never watch things like that.
Yeah.
And then suddenly I did have an obsession with watching shows like that. You know, kidnappers or like wives who lose their shit. I became obsessed. And then I would run through my head like, well, what would happen if I was in a situation like that? And I go back to saying this. I would really want to talk to them.
Yeah.
I would really want to be like, so tell me.
Yeah.
Where are you at right now? Like, I would genuinely, and I probably wouldn't lend itself, and I'd probably get shot and killed before the answer would even come out.
They would tape your mouth shut so fast.
Yeah.
I would speak with my eyes. I'd be like, easy. But I would write. Yeah. I would make myself bleed and then just like write everything. Yeah. That was weird.
They probably
I'd make
wouldn't.
myself bleed.
They wouldn't have.
I know, but
pens
I'm just
or
saying,
paper
like,
for you.
that's in my mind how I would play it out. Like,
Yeah.
what would I do?
Yeah.
I would want to know what they were thinking.
No, I think that when push comes to shove, you're gonna figure out a way to escape, a way to talk yourself out of it. You're always gonna want to get yourself out of these
Fight
situations.
or flight.
See,
That's kind of like when we went to Sequoia National Park, and when you're gonna get into the park, you know, the ranger tells you, hey, you're going to come in contact with wildlife. Bears, wild cats. So you must live by this. If attacked, fight back. My kids were like, what? Fight back? Aren't you going to run or aren't you going to try and hide?
Yeah.
No, the ranger said, if attacked, fight back. I'm going to punch this fucking panther in the nose, but it's the same thing. Like, fight for your life.
Yeah.
Do whatever it takes.
It's the same in human life.
That's what I'm saying.
So in your instance, fight back, right? If you flee, you are prey.
Yeah.
Right? So in human life, you need to have that same mindset. You need to be aware and you need to fight back. Yeah. Otherwise, you will be prey and you will be in those crime documentaries that you don't want to watch.
Shouts out to that lady. Did you see that video on Instagram of the lady with the bear?
Yeah.
Where the bear comes into her backyard to get her little doggies, and this lady was like, "Plop!"
17-year-old girl.
Oh, she was 17?
17.
She was not 17.
$100.
No, I mean, no doubt. But in the video, she looked like she was like 45, like a 45-year-old mother of
17.
6.
Oh, wow. Well, to the point is, like, she was not going to have it. She said,
I would have gone to go get La Scoba or something. Like, she went full force, like, plop.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't love my dogs that much.
Oh, that would have been me. I hoorah'd her. I was like, yes, girl, you get that shit.
I would have done that.
Push that fucking bear. Don't let them fuck with your dog.
She had the strength of a mother. That's why I think I doubt how old she was.
Yeah.
Because that
17.
adrenaline.
Yeah, and that's what it was. It was the adrenaline.
Maybe she was house sitting the dogs and she was like, I want to get my paycheck.
Well, no, so one of them was a service animal for her mother.
Oh, shit.
So she didn't want that dog to die.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know what? I would fire that service dog because that service dog should know better that it's going to lose against the bear.
No.
She's not looking out for her human.
The bear was intruding.
It was the pack mentality. Like, once one of them went, they all went.
That was a mama bear, too. She went in there with her cubs. I was like, who's going to win this?
Yeah, that was actually
That was
really
two
good.
mamas going to bat. Oof, that was nerve-wracking. Oh, man, I just broke a sweat. Hold on. That made me nervous.
But I think what would help with that, too, we're talking about fighting back. Have some self-defense.
So let me ask you this. So then, in retrospect, should we tell our girls, listen, if that boss of yours, if his hand creeps lower than it should,
punch him in the throat.
Push him back like that lady pushed that bear back.
Yeah.
In that moment.
Yeah.
If he has the audacity to grab you someplace he shouldn't be grabbing you, push that son of a bitch back. Right?
Yeah. You don't get touched in your little private parts.
What do you, Bartley, what are you going to tell your daughter on how to deal with that situation? Yeah, you were right. She was 17.
So I'm going to either tell her, one, go report it to someone higher up.
So you wouldn't immediately tell her to respond?
No, because you could make the situation worse.
How?
What if that person gets triggered and escalates?
Damn.
So get out of the current situation that you're in, but then report it. Or get physical and kick him where the sun don't shine, and then how is he going to explain why he...
Well, kick him and run.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, I guess,
Did your parents ever have a conversation with you about how to do that? Or how to manage that?
I think I was always just told, no te dejes. And I got it. No te dejes que te toquen en donde no. And so I don't think there was,
So they would tell you, don't let anybody
conversations.
touch you. No te dejes is an equivalent to, don't let nobody mess with you.
Yeah.
Damn.
So, and I mean, it wasn't like a whole bunch of conversations over and over, but they made it known, like, no te dejes.
Right.
Okay.
Mm.
Well, and it all depends on your situation too. Like if you're in your workspace,
Yeah.
then my advice to my daughter would be get out of the situation and then report it. If
Mm-hmm.
you're alone,
Mm-hmm.
then fight back.
What about with family? Creepy
Fight.
uncle?
Fight back.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has a creepy uncle.
Fight back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, fight back. I don't give a fuck who you are. Ugh. Disgust.
Take the chancla out.
Mm-hmm. All of this.
Use your teeth.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ooh. Ugh.
How are you going to explain bite marks on you? If it let's say it's like a creepy uncle
Ah.
with an underage how are you going to explain bite marks on you?
Yeah.
It could get infected. How are you going to explain that?
Oh.
Mm. I see.
So
see
I would
what
say
you're
bite.
saying. Bite.
I'm trying to teach my daughter not to bite right now.
That's what I was thinking too. Like,
You're
didn't
sending
you
me
just
mixed
tell
messages,
me?
Dad.
When you're 12 or 4, anything after 12, you can bite just in this situation.
Yeah. I feel that. I feel that really hard.
It's making me more nauseous.
Another recommendation that's gonna make you even more nauseous. Have you watched The Handmaid's Tale?
No.
Oh, such a good show on Hulu.
Is it about
Fuck that
sexual
show.
harassment?
What?
I
Oh,
can't
wow.
watch that show.
Why?
It's
Okay,
too,
well,
it's
first of
too
all-
over the top for me.
Well, what is it about?
Oh my gosh.
It's about religious extremists taking over the United States,
Yes.
and pretty much all the
So it's the history of the United States?
No.
no, it's like a futuristic type thing.
Well, yeah, but no.
and
yes.
the men can't, or the women are not able to bear children, so they kidnap these women who are able to have children, and they force them to have sex with their husbands
of the elite.
of the upper class,
Yeah.
and they try to base it off of Bible scriptures.
Yes.
It's sick and twisted.
It's so sick and twisted.
Yeah,
But
it's too much for me. I can't.
It's a
Hurts my heart.
lot, but it kind of covers everything that we're talking about. Just the nonverbal cues saying no, and this is obviously extreme, but it just goes into how women they don't have a say. And this kind of portrays it as the extreme of you're not anyone's property but the government's, and we're going to do whatever it is that we need to do so that the higher powers can have children at whatever cost. So
Hold on.
they get left from their own husbands and children.
God.
Yes. Oh,
And,
it's so
and the
disturbing.
punishments are extreme for fighting back. So if like you're talking back, they'll cut your tongue out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They gouge your eye
gouge your eyes.
out.
It gets so bad they
Oh,
will hang you from in public
Yes.
places.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really extreme.
I've been watching it, and I'm in the second or third. I'm in the third season now, and just this weekend I was bawling out in like full on, like I was crying so hard. Mike was like, "Oh, this really got you."
Wait,
like
hold
he
on.
had
You-
to hug
you
me
cried?
because yes, I cried uncontrollably. It was the most heartbreaking episode. I don't want to give it away. You have to watch it. But there's a scene, and it just tore me apart.
Just hold on. This is why I don't want to watch it. If it got you to
It
cry to
made
that point,
me
I
cry.
would probably have like a anxiety attack.
Okay.
I'll
so-
need an inhaler.
And that
I won't
night,
survive
I couldn't
that.
sleep after
Oh, I'm
that. I
not
couldn't
watching
sleep
that.
because it just tore me to pieces. It was
So you literally have to watch and experience something extreme to cry?
hmm
Hell no.
You have to ask Mike about it. I was
Jesus,
crying.
Natalie.
I was crying as if it were happening to me.
Huh.
It was devastating.
I'm-
But it's
I
really
low-key-
good. I think you should watch it.
I low key, the only reason why I do want to watch it is because I want to know, like, okay, this made Natalie cry. But I'm also terrified. And because I can imagine what it's going to do to me.
It's terrifying. It's like a woman's worst nightmare.
You know what? I'm thinking about the last episode we had where DJ Severe was like, but the women are in control of everything. Like, we need that
true.
positivity right now, though.
It's true. I
Not in Gilead.
right.
Not in Gilead.
Thanks, Bartley. Exactly. You see, Bartley, you've watched this. You've watched a pretty
I watched the
show.
first season with my wife, and I told my wife, "You can watch the rest by yourself."
I'm pretty sure she got to the part where I was crying uncontrollably. I'm pretty sure she was just as devastated as I was. It was an awful episode, but I think.
So is this true though?
No. It's fiction.
It's someone's sick fantasy.
It's someone's sick, twisted fiction. Yeah.
But
Damn.
but it's based on like the current times. So there's cell phones involved and internet and this, that, but now it just takes place in a different, under different rule.
I would say it's similar to, it's a religious extremist, right? So think of like how we view different religions and their extremists.
Okay.
And I don't want to like blow
single
out
one out. Yeah, no.
single one out, but you know what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
It's like that, but for Christianity.
Yeah.
It would be a Christian extremist group that takes over the United States.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to watch it. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
How many seasons?
I think there's 4 now, and I don't know if that would be it, but it's based on a novel.
Okay.
So there's a book that precedes it.
Okay.
So
got it.
So yeah. There it is.
So extreme things make Natalie cry. Noted.
Yeah.
Noted.
Yeah, that one, I couldn't sleep on. It's still.
I don't remember the last thing that I saw that I lost sleep over. So that's why I'm really curious about this.
That was it for me. I had trouble sleeping after some of the stuff that I saw.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's so sad. But anyway, let's move along. So yeah, guys. Sexual harassment. If you see something, say something. If you're a victim of something, let somebody know. Handle
Talk
it.
to somebody, because I guarantee you, in your small network of women that you know, someone's been harassed.
I wonder. We should have looked this up. I wonder what the statistics are of unwanted sexual encounters or sexual behaviors, or just unwanted conversations that you don't want to have with men.
I'm sure it's 100% of women.
Yeah. Like every woman has had a situation.
Before Natalie and I got here on the ride here, I think we both uncovered something about ourselves. I uncovered about you. I was under the assumption that you had more sexual harassment experiences. I thought you would have had more.
No.
The fact that you've had mild experiences,
I
was surprised.
I'm so blessed.
You
truly.
are. And I think that you were surprised to know that I had pretty intense,
sexual or unwanted encounters.
Unwanted sexual encounters. We were both surprised to learn that about one another, which again, if you do experience something like that, talking to any of the women or friends or anybody that you have, you'll find that, you will find somebody there who's going to relate or be able to connect you with some kind of help, guidance. It's so important.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter how big or how small the situation
Exactly.
was. The matter is that it's happened, and it can affect you in whatever way it will affect you. It's all fair.
Yep.
So that was great.
That was great.
I love us.
I love us.
And I love everyone that's listening to us and supporting us in this. Oh, hey, and real quick, shouts out to our listeners in Hong Kong.
Hong Kong.
Okay? Hong Kong is listening. I appreciate you so much, people in Hong Kong. You have no idea. Let yourself be seen, heard.
They can have 3 kids now.
Oh, that's right. They
can
increased
have 3
it.
kids. Yeah, they did increase it because their population was decreasing.
Yeah, they're having a hard time people getting into the workforce, I think. There's this big gap. I'm not too sure, but yeah, you know what?
Shout out. Yeah. And you know what? I do want to say this. We are fortunate to be surrounded by a good group of positive male
we have
role models and support
in the building right now. We have Bartley, Jake, and Ray supporting us
always
on this frequency, y'all.
On all levels, they're very encouraging, supportive, and we know who to call if something goes down.
Yeah, y'all the shit, man.
That's a beautiful thing.
I appreciate all of you.
Yes.
So that was it, man. Until next time, increase the peace.
Increase the peace. Shout out to everyone who joined us. Thank you so much. I am Ricky Limota, a.k.a. Buenaventura, and it's a pleasure to be sitting next to the beautiful lady full of finesse at Natalie Stephanie with those 2 eyes. We're live from Rose City Sound Studios in the beautiful Inland Empire. And this show was brought to you by and produced by the infamous Juice Box Bartley. We are on this frequency. Please DM us, send us an email on this frequency at gmail.com. Let us know what you're thinking. Give us your topics, your questions, your inquiries. We're here to help. That's what we do. We chop it up all the time. Make sure you share us, like us, get those conversations going on with your family, and catch a new episode drop every Wednesday, wherever you listen to your podcast. Drop it like it's hot, y'all. Bye.